everybody, to podcast number 123, presented by 5-Pin Universe. I keep forgetting to do the intros every week. I'm your host, Kerry Kreitz, joined by Tim and Dexter Wiseman, the twins, and senior bowler Daryl Bradley, right?
I've graduated now, or what?
No,
I like the air quotes. I like the air quotes though too.
Well, that way people can believe me. It just on our audio version they won't understand. But how are things going, guys? Daryl, looks like you're a little worse for wear. Tim, I know you're worse for wear. What's going on?
Injury. We need the IR report for the 5-Pin U crew here.
Do you have a steak handy, or what are you gonna put on that bad boy?
Yeah, look at that, guys? What do you think, everybody? I know you're going to be staring at it all night. No, just a little accident. The old clip and climb with my daughter on the weekend. Climbed up a little pyramid thing. Got all the way top. Pretty proud of myself. But then, of course, once you get to the top, you got to come down, right, guys? So I just felt like you got to jump down. So I jumped down off the harness was going to keep me up. But all of a sudden, I started swinging around the outside of the columns. And then I came back through the columns, and I bobbled my head through 2 columns. You'd think a guy would actually have his hands out and maybe know where it's going, like this and that. But no, I just let myself take it. Bang, bang, chicky chang. And as soon as I did it, I hit right underneath the eye. I was like, I'm going to have a black eye. I knew right away. And here we are, 4 or 5 days later, and we're getting nice and yellowy. And it's good.
She'll turn nice and green on you.
Yeah.
Look nice and pretty.
The first day, my kids thought I had an eyeliner, but no, it's just gotten better. And they kind of looking at me funny, so it's all good.
Should we cue it up for the people?
Yeah, let's cue it up.
Oh, no, did you? I sent it to you guys, of course. Anybody really want to see the video?
Oh, yeah. I think this is good. It's Dennis Rodman
2.0. Wow. Let's take a quick look here.
Here
we go.
Yeah. Pretty proud of myself up at the top. Hey, look at me. But then I was like, I got to get down. So I hold on to the thing, right? There's Jade down in front. And I went, whoa, all the way to the backside. And then here, boom, boom, bang, bang. Right? Bang, bang. I know.
That part's so good.
Why did it take me to the outside? All of a sudden, back, bang, bang. Yeah. Oh, man. Why didn't I have my hands out, guys? Why don't I have my hands out? This is awesome. The most ridiculous thing ever. Yeah. Just take it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But we're good. Well, we're good. Other than that, we're good. Last week's issues are all resolved. So we're back to normal and whatever. It's good. Tim, how about you? Over to you, bud.
I'm doing just fine. You know what? Maybe tomorrow is my last IV, and so fingers crossed. I might be able to use my left hand. So,
like. This whole time, like, we have this massive pandemic that's sweeping across the world, and none of us are sick, but we have injuries from stuff that, like, Daryl, I don't know if I give you the old senior quotations earlier. If you should really be climbing that high, big guy. It's a little
there's certainly a risk factor included here, boys, that I got to consider next time going up there for sure.
I just can't believe you got your walker up there.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. I walked. I didn't even use my hands. I just walked. Doink, doink, doink.
Do you know? In all fairness, if Daryl actually wore his bifocals, he probably would have seen the poles.
Yeah, you're a lot safer up there.
Yeah.
Well,
I can take it. Let's go. Yeah, you're right. Tim. Definitely. My risk assessment might not want me to see me do that again. So.
Podcast does not cover your health insurance. I'll tell you that right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, darn.
Speaking of that, everybody buy more 5-Pin Bruniverse. It's got some hospital bills.
That's right.
That's where your money's going to now is hospital bills.
That's right.
It's going good though, boys. Hey, the 5-Pin U. I know it's good sales. I think got some good numbers.
Yeah, things are looking really good through Alley Cat, so we can't thank them enough once again to bring our own 5-Pin beer to the Alberta masses for at the moment, and hopefully more across the country later on.
Yeah, I think we're through like the first 75% of the first run, so they're looking at creating a second run for the end of this month. So hopefully more places to keep picking it up, and we go from there, and hopefully Saskatchewan can get it in there too. I know there's, I think outside of Saskatchewan and Alberta it's gonna be tougher, but it sounds like Alley Cat is in a few places in Saskatchewan, so there is a gentleman that you can reach out to at Alley Cat that can help figure out those logistics on how to get it out to you businesses in Saskatchewan. So if anyone would like that information, just shoot us a message and I'll be happy to pass that information along to you. But yeah.
Perfect. So this past weekend, I know we try and keep it national wide, our conversation, but we did have the Alberta Tournament Masters weekend, and there was some teaching masters and stuff like that. We played Stettler the first day. Heartland Bowl, proud supporter of the WCBT. I know we played, there was some fairly high scores in there. Who won? I wasn't.
Tyler.
Tyler
Yeah.
B. Weber at the end. Yeah.
Right, that's right. Adam led for the first 7 games, and then Tyler took it at the end.
Yeah, they were both well over 2,300.
was great
Big scores.
scoring.
Were you guys surprised at the scores? Apparently, something about new bases. So you're not surprised. I mean, we've seen some great scores and great playing coming out there on the pro league. So not really, but kind of like.
We were there 3 years ago. I know Kerry's been there sooner than I have, but it played really well. Like, it was always a decent scoring house, but it played really well. No real kickbacks, nothing really cheesy in it. I will have to say though, like, they had to work on their approaches, and I made sure I told their head technician Gino to fix it. So, because for all you guys know how much Gino gives shit to everybody in any bowling center, Gino helps out start Stettler, and I made sure I gave it to him, and it felt great. So,
well, to give you all perspective, I think there was 18 or 19 tournament men's players, at Stettler. I was 15th with a 250 average, so the scoring was really well at that center compared to in prior years. So they've done a really good job there for sure. But we'll stick with Stettler at the moment. We'll move over to the ladies here in a second. An old senior citizen, a former podcast guest, crushed us all. Shot 2,400 on the Sunday in Seniors Masters. Mr. Greg Gagliak.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
At Seniors at Stettler.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they played the Sunday at Stettler. So
nice work, kid.
In all fairness, that guy could still be playing tournament masters, no problem. But he chooses to play seniors because he loves it.
Yeah. So smooth too, right? I mean, the style that he throws, it's not going to be a ton of wear and tear on the body. It's just nice and smooth, simple.
Yeah.
Yeah,
smooth with both hands.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did he bowl left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Who knows? Yeah. Who knows? It's scratch. Does it really matter?
Nope.
He could have played either or. Could you switch? What's the ruling? Where's our?
I don't think there's any rule for scratch.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, if it's scratch, it shouldn't matter. I mean, if we're at TPC and someone wants to make that change and switch from left hand to right hand to mix it up, I'm not going to care.
Yeah, if it was a league, it'd be a different story, right? But
yeah, league is different for sure. But
if it was a handicap or a pins over average situation.
Exactly.
So let's jump over to the ladies at Innisfail.
Yeah, Tracy played really well.
Nice.
Yeah, Tracy was like 100 and some up on second. She shot 2,100. She averaged 263. She was the only lady over 2,000, but there were a few bunched up right below that there. So, Diane Biolini comes in second. Awesome.
Yeah. And then the second day at Heritage, the ladies and men's were both there. On the men's side, who won?
Rob Wolfson.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Back-to-back Heritage champion, right? For the Masters? Yeah. I think he won last year, too, at Heritage.
Yeah, he did. Well, yeah, he did last time, yeah. And he beat Tyler in the last game. So, but I will have to say, people probably might not know this. Robbie probably has high average in the city in Calgary. He's averaging 274 this year. So awesome. He's playing really solid right now.
Yeah. So between him and Miller, for sure, because I think Miller's playing really well, too. Mark.
Yeah,
I think I've seen something on the
270.
Calgary stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for the ladies' side, Bonnie McDonald comes through again with another title.
Yeah. Pretty incredible. She doesn't throw any balls. It shows up to the event, like sort of like Bruce used to, right? And just throw balls. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gets a warm up in on Saturday and then comes out and wins the tournament on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, she shot. Well, I mean, her first game was 291, and then she shot 5 straight 300s after that.
Nice.
Pretty solid.
Pretty stellar.
Now, what about rest of the country? We know some have had to delay qualifying, and some people haven't got the chance to play, or some people are still in the middle of it. What's the overall recap out there?
Yeah, I think Saskatchewan's got their first set in.
Yeah,
Other than that, BC does too. BC has their first set in.
Manitoba does too. Pretty sure.
Ontario has some in. Yeah, I think everybody has their first set in, except maybe not Quebec.
Right.
I don't know about Quebec. Yeah,
and so they might not be through their second set and stuff like that. Obviously, with Ontario being the 21 days still on lockdown, and Quebec obviously being on lockdown too. Oh, Manitoba is under a no tournament rule as well.
Yeah.
Yikes.
What a time to be alive, eh?
What about open qualifying? Now, that's for most places coming up here end of January. I believe Quebec has already done it. Ontario does their initial round too, right? Don't they?
Yeah. And
Ontario's already done.
Yeah, they do theirs in December.
Oh, so they're provincial. Oh, they do their whole thing. Okay, the provincials are coming up at Easter stuff at the same time. Okay,
right. So, they're having issues in Manitoba and BC, especially because they can't do roll-offs, right?
Yeah, but it's interesting because BC they allowed them to run their intercity, or well, not intercity, I guess, interiors qualifying, because it's not team based; it's an individual based, so they don't consider that a tournament. But they're not allowing the open qualifyings to run. It's the same thing to me. I don't get it. So, but they're not. They haven't. They've canceled their qualifying rounds for now, in hopes that they can run them after January. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, once again, devastating. Obviously, not only to bowling, but obviously sports across Canada, indoor sports specifically. But here in Alberta, we're lucky enough to still run with masking mandates and stuff like that. So hopefully we can continue to have our zone trials here at the end of the month.
Yeah.
I
think they're going to just try to ride that wave and go from there, right? I mean, I know we're gonna have people that are sick and they need to drop out or all that kind of stuff. I mean, we had some people this weekend. We just found out like about 3 hours ago, we had 3 people drop out of the IP provincials this weekend.
Oh,
right?
Darn, too bad, of course.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't think we're there yet. I think there'd be more people. But it's kind of part of the game, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a product of the time, and you're going to have those fluctuations, but hopefully there's enough support and enough interest to keep the events alive, and we make it through this.
And kudos to those people who are being honest and not going into provincials this weekend because they know something's up, and not just trying to skirt around it and go down anyways because you spend that amount of time with everybody in a bowling alley over a weekend. Everyone would leave that place sick. So kudos to them for doing the right thing.
Yeah.
What now? 5 Pin Universe Pro Team League. That's this weekend coming up. We haven't had that for a few weeks, so back in action coming up this Sunday.
Yeah. Show number 9. We have Paradise Marble, the Okanagan Eclipse, the Panorama Mad Hatters, and 5 Pin Universe Dream Crushers are all competing. So should be some good matches there. Some teams Okanagan hasn't played since the very first week, so they're happy to get in.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've seen them play for sure. Great.
Yeah.
Oh, I see Don Sim comment there.
Yeah, we're in Palm Springs right now. Look at that.
But where he's completing a 14-day unscheduled COVID holiday. He's having to stay a little longer than anticipated, I guess.
Hope you're doing all right, buddy. Hope you're doing all right down there.
Yeah.
He was probably part of the Quebec trip down there.
Yeah, the influencers, the Quebec influencers.
Yeah,
and all
The,
this stuff.
the Sunwing flight.
Yeah,
yeah,
that was the
yeah.
Cancun, the party.
Yeah,
I can imagine Don
definitely
Sim on that. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
yeah.
Oh, man.
Carrie, I have to ask, what is the giant check behind your head?
Oh, you like that?
I've never.
That's because you get them for perfect games, sir. That's why you don't know what they are.
All right.
Oh, you set him up for that one, Dex.
It was
Do you?
the printout from Bonnie Doon when I threw my perfect game there.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right next to that Green Bay piece of shit thing there.
Hey, number one team in playoffs right now at the moment.
Is that the bandwagon that I should jump aboard, or what?
Yes,
I'm a free
yes, you
agent
should.
right now for the playoffs this year.
no,
who
I'm a
wants
Become
me
a
to cheer
Green
for their
Bay
team?
fan for 1 year because Aaron Rodgers is leaving and Green Bay will not be the same
I
after
tell you what.
this. So
What
you should
about
join
the
now.
Raiders? What about the Raiders guys? Like, how clutch
Nobody
are they?
cares, Tim. They're out in the first round, so let's move on.
They
Uh,
there's a no arrests yet.
Yeah. Let's be honest, guys. I'm cheering for Tom Brady and the Bucks. Let's go Bucks.
Oh, go away.
I'm just gonna mute his mic. Well, that's enough. No one needs to hear that.
Okay, well let's pay some bills here. You can become a patron at patreon.com/5pinuniverse for as little as $2 a month and help support us fools do this podcast every week and bring you the people you're really here to listen to, the legends and the special guests of our sport. And hopefully maybe we'll get some guests from another sport down south here soon. They're hitting the stride of their middle of their season. Maybe we'll get some 10 pinners on here soon.
Yeah.
I see
they just had
Belmo's coming back.
That's right. He's going to be up and playing this weekend at the PBA, I think, Players Championships they have this weekend. So they're just hitting full stride down in the States. That's good for them.
That's awesome.
And then once again, we have an all-star giveaway. What should we do? Tim's IV or what should the hashtag be?
Something about this. Yeah.
Black guy DB?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The black eyed DBs. Yeah.
Black Eye Sweet Pea.
Yeah.
There you go.
Boy, that's taking me back.
There you go.
Skinny
Hey,
D, yeah.
I'll share that on the screen really quick just so everybody knows what they have to write down. Hashtag Black Guy DB.
Yeah.
And you'll be entered into All Stars draw for this week. And we'll draw you at the end here. All right. We'll run the All Star commercial and then we'll bring in our special guest of the week. All right. So without further ado, a former proprietor of Chinook Bolodrome, now from the island, we have Mrs. or cut myself off there. Fran Clarke. How you doing?
Fran.
Hey, Fran.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Great.
Good. Thank you very much for coming on and doing this and sharing stories with us and all that good stuff.
Oh, thanks for having me. If I can't dazzle you with brilliance, I'll try and baffle you with BS. But it's typical of a bowler, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely
We've had lots
right.
of that, that's for sure.
You've certainly got lots that we can talk about, Fran. So it's going to be a good chat here. I know that you and Tim have worked hard on putting some stuff together, and we got lots of notes and pages here. It's going to be like a check mark as we go. Okay, yeah, check mark. Okay, next one, check mark. Right? There'll be a lot of things to chat about.
It'll be a true test of my Rolodex file.
Yeah. You did say though before you came on the real reason why you did is because your buddy Colin Keir was chirping at you and saying it was time to go on over some cards. You lost a bet or you lost a game of cards and said it's time to go on.
Yeah. He told me I needed to get off my butt and get out here and get on the show, and I went, oh well, okay. Tim did mention it a few months ago, but anyways, it's all good. Thanks for having me, and kudos to you guys for all that you're doing for the sport of 5-pin bowling. It's great.
Thank you. That's
Appreciate
a
it.
big compliment coming from you.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah. There are a few
We
people that have put
literally
as much effort into this sport as you have. That's for sure.
Well, I'm just humbled by the people I've been able to work with over the years. That's for sure. I've been very fortunate to have had some great people to work with. I'm just one of the workers. So
I was just gonna say, you're giving us high praise. You did all the hard work. We're just literally sitting in our own room, staring at a computer screen, talking to the builders of our sport, and we're getting all the compliments. So thank you.
That's right.
it's all good. It's been a great ride. That's for sure.
Good. Well, DB, want to take her away?
Well, I don't know with this big with all these pages here, Fran. I thought that we would be just nice and gentle on you and see where you wanted to start this all off. And I mean, you've got technical experience, you got administration, you got ownership of the lanes, you've got a 1983 Canada Winter Games moment as well. I mean, there's so much here. Where do you think that would be a fun spot to start on Fran Clarke? And maybe it's you as a bowler, or where did you start in the game when you were young and kid? So let's see where you want to take us here. Let's have some fun.
Like many people, I started off in YBC. Started off at a later age than some. I think I was about 9 years old when I started, and got going there and went every week. I sucked at bowling, but I kept persevering, and my family kept saying, "You've got to do something on Saturdays. You're not staying at home watching cartoons, so get out and bowl." So we lived a few blocks from Gibson's Westbrook Bowling, Calgary. So I joined the youth bowling league there and kept on going. And I bowled in that league until I was 18. And it just happened that when I was 18, that was the year they changed the age limit from 21 down to 18. So all of a sudden, there was a bunch of us found ourselves out of YBC. So I said to Ken Gibson, our proprietor, my mentor when it comes to proprietors, I'd like to coach YBC. And he said, "No, you can't do that yet." He said, "Come back in a year. And if you still want to coach, I'll put you through the clinic." So I think it was 1976, 1977, actually. I think I took the instructor's clinic, because back then it was the instructor's clinic was the first thing you had to take. So I took that, joined the Masters in 1977, card holder number 272. And,
nice.
Wow.
What number are we at now, guys?
I don't know. I mean, we're like 4,200 or something, right?
Yeah, 4222 is mine.
Yeah.
well, then I won't tell you what my NCCP number is then, but it is 4 digits.
Oh,
Anyways, I digress. So
they used to have a soccer when soccer in Edmonton started. I was playing for one of the higher level teams. Oh, not soccer in Edmonton, but the registration in the league ID numbers. And I was on one of the teams that we were the first to register. And I was, a 16-year-old playing men's league, and that was the highest level that we were playing. And my number was numbers like 14. Kind of thing, and there's like thousands, 48,000 of them now, and I was number 14. So a similar story to yours. I'm just lucky that the team that I was got selected first to start registration numbers. So
wow,
yeah.
Geez, yeah. So anyways, I took the level one, not the level one. I took the coaches clinic, because we had the instructors clinic and then the coaches clinic. So a couple of years later, I took the coaches clinic, and I enjoyed that. I also took the theory clinic, because the coaches clinic was just technical back then. You had to take a separate level 1 theory course, and then you were certified level 1. Same thing for level 2. Anyway, so I did that, and Bill Plum was around in those days. He was a technical guru, and I talked to him and said, if you ever need help giving clinics, I'd be happy to help. So in 1980, 81, he said, "I'm going to get some people involved in training to become a course conductor. If you're still interested, we'll do that." So that's where we got going. And I did my first clinic in September of 1981. And I've done, about 115 of them since, give or take a bit. And that's instructors clinics, coaches clinics, level 1 technical, level 2 technical, and now community sport initiation, intro to competition workshops, and facilitator training as well. And lane inspection work as well. I did lane inspection training and was a lane agent as well. Yeah,
So I mean, in retrospect, you've certified over 1,000 people.
yeah, probably closer to 1,500. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm anal. I keep a list of what workshops I've done over the years and where they were
Yeah.
and how many people
That's
were in
good.
them. And it's well over 1,400 people.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So, I mean, I've been very fortunate. I've gone coast to coast for bowling at least twice. I've been up to Yellowknife. I went up to Yellowknife a long time ago and did a lane agent training on the Friday night and then did a level 2 technical clinic Saturday and Sunday. And, it was an action-packed weekend. I remember leaving, it was end of February, and Calgary had a Chinook. It was 22 Celsius when I left Calgary. And Mary Lynn picked me up at the airport in Yellowknife, and I said, I left 22 Celsius weather. She says, well, it's like a Chinook here. It's only -20, and the wind is only coming from the north at 30. It's great here. And I went, yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, no doubt.
But
No
it
doubt.
was fun because she took me out to the lake, and I actually walked on water. So, it was kind of fun. The water was frozen, so that was a good thing because I don't swim well. So.
That's awesome.
Now, what would a course have looked like for training back in 1980, when you first started out delivering courses and give training and type of people?
Oh, yeah, the instructor's clinic, it was all technical. And that was the thing. I'm a purist bowler. There's never enough technical in our workshops. And even
100% agree.
more so now. But the instructor's clinic was a one-day session. I think it was 6 or 7 hours in length. And then if you wanted to take the coach's clinic, it was a weekend session. And then the theory was another full day as well, usually held at college or university campuses. And then you had to apply for practical status as well. But it was all technical. When we started rewriting that, Ernie Rogie was the national technical director. He was from the Master Bowlers of Canada. And another one of my mentors when it comes to technical stuff. He decided we needed to rewrite things. He and the government was kind of pushing too, I believe. Anyways, we combined the instructor's clinic and part of the coach's clinic into what was then level 1. And then we took the rest of the coach's clinic, added more to it, role of the coach, mental preparation, that sort of stuff, and made a level 2 clinic. And then after that, there was also the theory. And then we started to work on level 3. Again, digging through my archives to get ready for tonight, I found my draft of level 3 technical. I was responsible for doing the section on the role of the coach. And I found my draft, it's about that thick. And I went, oh, geez, yes, I remember this too. And, I consulted with people from across Canada to get their input into what they felt the role of the coach was. I got responses from the likes of Lynn and Bruce, Ken Norris, Claudina Lista, Dylas Turner, one of my mentors in coaching. Lynn Howell is my other mentor in coaching as well. Sandy Anderson from Winnipeg. I got all sorts of responses from different people and put that together, which of course it was mothballed and, it's never seen daylight until I pulled it out of the box today. But
I had heard rumors that Tom at some point had run a level 3 clinic. Am I right about that?
We didn't have level 3 technical. We never did get it all together. Everybody was responsible for different sections. We had the typical 6 different sections of it, and we never did get together on it. I was part of the National Technical Committee for a few years, and that was our project. Was we'd get together once or twice a year in person and go through things and delegate work to everybody. We'd go back, work on our stuff, get together again, go over it, revamp, revise. We also looked after things like the scorekeepers clinic, the judge of play clinic, which is now combined into a tournament officials clinic as well.
Right.
I can remember revising the judge of play clinic by phone with it was either Kevin Jepson or Robert Cameron, whoever was the technical director at the time. And I was still working in the oil patch. I was a finance analyst with Gulf Canada at the time. And we spent 3 hours on the phone going through and revamping the judge of play clinic. And Al Hong was the executive director at the time. And he said, I think it was Bob Cameron. He said to Bob, what the heck have you been doing on the phone for 3 hours? He says, oh, Fran and I just sorted out the judge of play clinic. I'm gonna edit it and get it printed. And he says, 3 hours on the phone? Do you know what the long distance charge is? He says, well, do you know what the airfare would have been to get her out here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
We'll take it.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think a level 3 coaching clinic, even at this point, would be absolutely amazing. There's definitely a major step up from where we are at with our competitive stream. There's definitely a big step that could be taken after that, and I would love to see that come to fruition at some point in time.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, I mean, as you know, we just did the first pilot workshop for the virtual community sport initiation workshop in November. And my husband, Paul, he's a computer guy, and he's been bugging me. And then I in turn bugged Dave Post for years saying, we've got to get online. We've got to get online. We're behind the 8 ball. And well, now we're finally getting there. But the only thing that bugs me, and I'm coming from my purest bowler state of mind, is that it's so much theory and in my mind, just not enough technical. And now when you're doing the virtual workshop, you don't get the students, the participants on the lane. So they don't get to experience what you're explaining to them or what they're discovering through going through the resource material. And I mean, I'm concerned about the quality of the coaches that we get out of those. But at the same time, the onus is on the participants as well to go through the material, take it to the bowling center, try it on, and see how it goes.
Is there an opportunity to do, live stream with them all, sort of what we're doing here right now? If you're all in the group setting, maybe they're at the bowling alley and they can go set the camera up behind them. I mean, again, adapting to the times and where we're at and what we're doing. Kudos. I mean, 5-game league or 8-gamer or stuff. Like, we're proving that this technology exists, and you could probably do that. Is that something that
I would love to see that happen too? I think that's a must-have down the road. That's for sure. But we've got some tweaking to do with the virtual presentation, and then it's another step to get to the comp intro one as well and get that one online. I always, when we were in Calgary, and of course I was a native Calgarian until we moved out here. And, we always thought it was hard, like going to the Open Provincials. I remember going to Camrose in '88 to play, and they'd had a blizzard and they were under feet and feet of snow. We didn't know if we were going to get there or not. And I always said it's so hard to travel to tournaments in Alberta with winter conditions and whatnot. Well, you get out here, it's brutal. It's just brutal. I mean, we're here on the island. So we had the Open Provincials in Prince George in 2017, I think it was. We flew up. Some people drove, like the Cummings and the Evies, they carpooled and they drove up. Well, Linda Raymond and I flew, and many people flew, but it's on our own tab. We don't get any funding. So, I mean, it's $1,000 weekend easy to go up there. And, it was great going up to Prince George, but, it's hard to get there. And it was, if a storm came up, the people that were driving, who knows if they would have got there or not. I did a comp intro workshop in Duncan, which is an hour south of us here on the island. And some guys came over from the mainland because they needed the workshop. So we're doing it at the bowling center in Duncan, and we got snowed in. And they got snowed in even worse on the mainland. We didn't know if they were going to get back home or not, and what condition they'd be in or how long it was going to take them. But yet they do whatever it takes to get to the clinic, to get to the tournament, that sort of thing.
You're absolutely right, Fran. And there you are, you guys are making the trip up to PG for one tournament. And then you think about those people who have to do that every year from PG to go down to, whether it's Vancouver or the Okanagan or the island. It's the cost of participating in BC is astronomical.
Yeah, it's brutal. And, we're lucky we have 6 zones in BC right now. And so every 6 years we get to host. So the last time we had the Open Provincials in BC was in 2019, and yay, hooray, it was in Nanaimo at Brecon Lanes, Ray Britton's house. And, it was great. We didn't have to travel. So we sprung for new bowling shirts, which I've got behind me, compliments of some certain group in Edmonton.
Yeah.
And Allison Cummings getting on the bandwagon there and getting us some nice shirts. And so we didn't have to spend money to travel as much, so we got new shirts. We still had to pay for them, but we got new shirts. And it's great. I mean, it's a great shirt. I wear it when I'm coaching the YBC at Brecon Lanes quite often on Saturday mornings. But yeah, travel's a pain, and same thing with the workshops. It was Russell Hunt's fault that I ended up doing some workshops here in BC, because I just sort of snuck into BC, didn't tell anyone, although, we hadn't even moved out here. And Linda Raymond phoned me in 2016 in January and said, I made the Island ladies team. We need a coach. So you're going to be it, right? Well, if you don't know, you just say, oh, yes, ma'am. Okay. Yeah. And anyway, so I said, well, I don't live there. I can't coach. She says, yes, you can. You have a house here. You're just not in it yet. So, we came out, and we were coming out every 5 or 6 weeks anyways, bringing more stuff with us from Calgary and putting it into the house. And, we ended up going to Vernon for the provincial. So we drove out to the island 2 days later for me to drive back to Vernon with Linda, and then we drove back here to the island, and we packed up our stuff and drove back to Calgary. But anyways, it was all fun. And, I've got to say the bowlers on the island, they're a great group. They don't get as much experience as the bowlers on the lower mainland because, travel. The island, I could have people on the team that have to drive 3 hours for a practice, and the bowlers from Victoria that make the team, there's not a 5-pin center in Victoria. They drive to Duncan to bowl a league. Yeah. Which is, a 45, 50-minute drive for them. So the travel is always a concern out here, that's for sure. Not that it isn't anywhere else, but it really came to light for me moving out here.
Yeah, we're definitely very fortunate here in Alberta. We've said it over and over. We are very, very lucky. It blows my mind that Victoria does not have a center. Yeah. Just blows my mind.
Well, my sister, she was one of the top bowlers on the island many years ago, my younger sister. And her daughter is also a good bowler in YBC as well. And, when they heard that there was going to be a bowling center open up in Langford, my sister was going, this is great. We can get leagues going again. We can start qualifying, this, that, and the other thing. I might even get my bowling shoes out and bowl again. And then they found it was going to be 10-pin. It was actually on the local news tonight. They were doing an insert from Langford Lanes. And I went, yeah, it's 10-pin. Okay. But, there's some bowling exposure. What the heck? Yeah. But yeah, it's tough. The centers are dwindling. And, there's a lot of issues there. A lot of centers up north don't join Bowl Canada because they don't get anything out of it. Yeah. So it's, it's hard. And, of course, we saw the same thing in Alberta when I was on the Bowl Alberta Board of Directors. We saw numbers going down, bit by bit because some of the more rural centers were saying, what's in it for us? So,
yeah. But you guys have, which I'm sure is the last handset center in Canada. Well, who knows in Canada, in North America for bowling as a general, and I'm sure on the island there, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Super neat. 2-lane handset house.
Yeah.
Where is that at?
Oh, why can't I think of the name?
Yubu.
Yes.
Yeah, we tried to get in there one day, but they weren't open. So I don't know if they're still entertaining customers or not, but yeah, I think that's where it is.
Yeah, super neat.
That'd be fun.
That's
right?
cool. Yeah.
Let's go to some of your own bowling for a little bit, Fran. Bowling in the open yourself. Obviously, a bit of success playing on some open teams out of Calgary. Reminisce with us there on your playing experiences for the open.
Well, I think my bowling days were sadly in the 80s. Paul and I, we go bowling every Tuesday morning at the little bowling center 5 minutes away from us. It's a 6-lane center. So every time I walk in there, I think I still get a bit of claustrophobia, going from our, I'm still used to our 32 lanes at Chinook, but I go in there and okay, all right, we'll go play bowling. But, thankfully they've got the Brunswick Framework scoring system. So I'm good with that. I can help, the folks do scoring changes and, I process our league stuff. But yeah, anyways, the 80s were my heyday. I won a Tournament Masters event at Fort Saskatchewan in 87. I think 86, 87 was probably my best season. I had, I think I was averaging in the 240s there. I played 3 leagues a week. I practiced 3 nights a week. I took 1 day off a week. Wow. Again, going through the archives this morning, I came across this very tarnished key, and it was on a keychain, and it said, "This is what used to be the key to Gibson's Westbrook Bowl." When I was working on my bowling, Ken Gibson gave me a key to the bowling center, and he said, come in and practice anytime you want. Lock yourself in. When you leave, lock the door. Don't let anyone else in. Have a good time. Play well. But anyways,
awesome.
I found that key today. But anyways, yeah, I want to.
Tim Dex, you hear that? You hear that, Tim Dex, for your loyal customers who really want something? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
they
get
earn
lots
it.
of keys
What do you
printed,
think?
guys. Yeah.
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 And check my
Just-
booze sales.
Just not too many codes. Yeah, you can have all the
Yeah.
keys you want, but the police are coming.
But, yeah, so I had my personal best was the Fort Saskatchewan tournament. I won it with a 22-48.
Nice.
And one of my proteges, she was in her first or second year of Masters. I coached her through YBC. I thought I was doing pretty good. I mean, I had a 15-71 for the first 5 games. I had 18 something for 6, and I thought, well, I must be doing pretty good. But she was only 4 points behind me when the last ball was thrown. And I think Diane was 14 points behind me as well. I mean, it was a high-scoring event, and that's when you could bowl either Saturday night or Sunday morning.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
But we did that, and I think that season I had 300-400 games, 2 at Chinook, 1 at Gibson's. 2 of the games were within about 4 or 5 weeks of each other. But I did that. But I made, I think it was 3 or 4 ladies teams and a couple of mixed teams. And then my bowling started to drift off a little bit. It wasn't as important. I was getting more into the technical side of things, and I had made the ladies team in 82 and 83. And then I didn't make the team in 84. I was devastated because I finally broke through and started making the teams. I was a decent bowler. Anyways, I didn't make the team in 84, so I put my name into coach, fully expecting to get the ladies team. Well, I didn't get the ladies team. I got the mixed team. And what do you mean I got the mixed team? What the heck? So I phoned our ladies team coach from 82, Charles Williams, and I said, I got the mixed team. I so wanted the ladies team. And she said, no, Fran. You want the mixed team. The mixed team is the best team to coach. So I went, yeah, okay. So I coached the mixed team, and we bowled in Edmonton, and we won. It got down to the last game, and we came out on top. So we went to Saskatoon. Eastview, I think, was where we were playing in 84 for the Nationals. And we bowled 8 games a day or something like that. And anyways, the last day, I think we had to bowl 6 games. And we were in 9th place out of 10 teams after the first 2 days. And I'm going, this is not what we thought it was going to be. And in 6 games, we went from 9th to 3rd and won bronze. It was just an amazing turnaround. It was great. Joe Wood was on that team. Brian McGilvery, a fellow from Quebec who ended up going back to Quebec. Al Shear, who moved out to BC. Bill Schwam, who's still been bowling. I think he's still bowling some Master Seniors events. And then for the ladies, we had Barb Douglas, which is Ann Norris's sister. We had a lady by the name of Bea McPhail. She was an older lady, and she was just the neatest lady because she'd bowl the men and she'd beat them occasionally, and they would just be devastated because the little old lady is mopping the floor with them. And then we had a gal by the name of Tammy Richardson. And anyways, they just gelled really well as a team, especially that last day. And, it was a great finish.
Yeah. Those days where, we all want to go out and we all want to win, but that bronze medal, when you come back from that far, sometimes that's just as good as gold. It's how you get the medal that really matters. And kudos.
Would it have been the 2 subs? Like, would you have 7 players in the
You
team?
had 2 subs, yeah.
So you had 2 subs.
Yeah.
Now, how often would you have made 2 subs in a game? And does that come up often, or what was the strategy? Yeah.
Quite often. It was neat because, of course, you could sub a man in for a woman and a woman in for a man as long as you had 3 and 2. So it worked well. I mean, we had the same thing in 2000 with our mixed team when we won gold at the Nationals that year. Quite often, I would pull a woman out, put a man in, and then in the same frame do the other way so that we'd maintain our 3 and 2. And so there was times where I'd bowl 3 women. I'd start with 3.
You'd start with 3 ladies, or depending on how you'd start it.
Yeah.
So you could you pull a lady out, you put a man in, then you still have 2 ladies in.
Yeah. You could see how it would go. But
was there some strategy, on that the first pull you want to make it quick, like within third frame, or it didn't really matter? Still sort of
My-
that first pole you waited fifth, sixth, something like that. Like how was the mentality that making this up?
I always said to the bowlers, you have 3 frames to prove yourself. No pressure here.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, it would depend on how they were throwing the ball, how they came off the lanes, like their attitude as well, and how they were affecting their teammates as well. I mean, I'm from the Lynn Howell School, where I believe in lots of positive feedback. I avoid negative, and it's always trying to provide an environment where the players can be motivated. Because I can't motivate you, but I can provide the environment or contribute to the environment so that you're motivated. And you know, I tried to stick to the 3 or 4 frames depending on the kind of ball they were throwing. And you know, if I had to make the pull, it's okay. This is for your own good.
Yeah.
You know, take a break, think, you know, regroup, get ready, because you're going back in the next game. And, you know, I would try and do that as much as possible. Sometimes it didn't work. I mean, I know I coached a couple of ladies teams where one of the players would pull themselves when I was getting ready to pull somebody else. They'd come off the lane and say, I'm out of here. And I'm, wait, that's not the plan. But yeah, it was a good strategy. It was good. I mean, in 2000, when I coached our mixed team and we were playing at home at Chinook, you know, the last day we lost a player. He didn't come to play. He wasn't bowling well, and he said to me on the Friday night, "Get John Durnison in. He's the sub. He's the alternate. Get him in tomorrow to play. Just tell him my leg is sore and I can't play." And I said, "No, you be here tomorrow. You're part of this team." Well, he didn't show up the next day, and we could not put the alternate in because I can't lie. He just didn't show up. He's not sick. I can't put the alternate in.
That's integrity. Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, it was tough. So we played with 6 players. We could only do one pull a game. But, you know, we were 10 points down with 4 games to go the last day at Chinook, and we won.
That's
You know,
awesome.
it was just that the team really, really bonded well together. And, you know, we won. And Doug Goodman was on that team, and he was always gruff. I mean, he had coached me a couple times. I coached him a couple times. And he really had an about face because he was sulking almost as badly as the fellow that didn't come back to bowl the last day. And when he realized that we were down to 6 players, he really turned things around, and he was a good contributor to our ultimate outcome. But that was a great team. I mean, we had Tracy Holsworth, we had Jeanette Doyle, we had Gail Alaschuk, who was a candlepin bowler, and she only made a couple of teams in Calgary, but she was a candlepin bowler and she worked at Chinook. And you know, those candlepin bowlers, they just blow us out of the ballpark when they come and try for the first time. Our men, we had Greg Cook, we had Doug Goodman, we had Lenny Farrell, and then for the Nationals, we had John Durnison come in, and, you know, talk about lighting a fire, and John could just get the whole house going.
Yeah,
he was amazing.
It's amazing.
I was going to say, I imagine that player didn't get to go travel to nationals with you.
No.
And I hope he didn't get a medal either.
And he's no longer around, probably.
Yeah.
No, he unfortunately, and he felt he was doing the best for the team by not showing up. And I just said, no, you know, that it hurt, and he ended up getting suspended for failure to finish the tournament.
But it's funny how teams can rally when something major like that happens.
Yeah.
It kind of like dissolves all the distractions around you, and it just becomes one cohesive unit. And that's
you know, it was. And Greg Cook, I mean, talk about calm, cool, and collected. I mean, I think that was the first team he had made in Alberta when he moved from Saskatchewan. And, you know, he just said, yeah, you know, put me anywhere, leave me on the bench, do whatever you want. And he was just so calm, cool, and collected. He played anchor most of the time. And he was really good. You know, at the Nationals, when we played Ontario, they would put Elizabeth Nichols in anchor. And she was their top bowler. And, you know, I just left Greg there. It was comfortable. You know, Tracy was lead off, Greg was anchor, everybody else was in the middle. And, I mean, it worked out really well. Tracy was a super leadoff bowler. I usually had Gail or Jeanette following her, and then Lenny and Doug or John. But, in the last game, of course, we had to do step ladder. Actually, no, it was Page system. Right in 2000 was Page playoffs for the finals. So we qualified third. And, Doug Goodman's motto after we won provincials was, "It's in the cards, you guys, it's in the cards." Yeah. And that's all he kept saying when we got to the nationals was, "It's in the cards." And that was our cheer at the beginning of every game was, "It's in the cards." And, we ended up, I did 2 pulls in the last game, and I pulled Jeanette out and put Gail in. I pulled Lenny out and put John in. And I always remember the Ontario coach, his name escapes me at the moment, but he smirked when I made the second pull. He smirked. And I said to myself, "Oh, don't smirk. You have no idea what's coming at you right now." Gail went, she finished off the 8th frame for Jeanette through strike, corner to finish her game. And John just went ballistic. He was all over the approach. It was great. We had to try and settle him down, but I mean, we had such a strong finish that we just left Ontario, sitting there going, "What happened?"
Yeah,
it's over. How about a fairly informal poll here with all of our listeners, Carrie? Mixed team, 7-player team or 6-player team? I think we'll know it's probably a fairly high number for 7. But let's everybody out there. For mixed teams at the Open, would you like a 7-player or 6-player? So that's what we want to see: 7-player, 6-player. Hey, what do you guys think?
I think 7-player gives a different dynamic all to it, right?
Absolutely.
I love the 7-player. It's just amazing, right? It's so much fun.
Yeah, it did, and I know it was a cost factor in reducing expenses and things like that, but it was fun. It gave the coach so many more options, and it was great. I liked it.
Man, I think it gives the players a lot too, right? Like you have 2 of them on the bench, but with that much leeway to make pulls and stuff like that, like you literally could be in the game at any point, right? You're not stuck there like, waiting for one player that's kind of struggling, then somebody else starts struggling. You got to choose between 2. Well, you can replace both. You don't have to worry about the single, right? It's kind of that way.
I mean, we all play enough opens where we're kind of hoping someone else gets pulled and you're both struggling. Is it me or is it Terry?
Just hold on, baby.
Just, and it's coming at some point, right? So when you have both pulls, it's going to be inevitable, right?
Well, with 7, it's almost like it doesn't matter if I get pulled. You've got 2 options to come in. So coach feels that I'm not good enough right now. Go ahead, guys. You're in. You go. I think with 7 players, it's a lot more involved in a lot more coaching and a lot more team cohesiveness, because you got to be ready for anything, and you got to be okay with it. If you're not okay with a pull, that's when you get trouble. I think in conflict would probably happen, but you really gotta work on that team cohesive if there's 7 people on the team for sure. And like, hey, this is going to be fun.
Are you allowed to pull somebody that got put in? So, like, if he got put in, like, the 3rd frame or whatever, and then goes punch, and then yank, you can't yank him too?
No, you can't put them back in.
No, not put him back in. Like, pull the guy that got put in.
Oh, no.
Okay. I would have done that.
I never saw that happen, so I got to say no. I think,
Yeah, it's neat though. I mean, obviously, overwhelmingly, most people prefer the 7-player, but I mean, it's a special team and special people. It's just super neat to play on it, but you got to be ready for it. You got to be aware of what's going on, right? And okay with sitting on the bench, because you're going to be sitting on the bench, or somebody's going to be. So you got to be okay with it. It's toughen up pretty quick. Right?
Yeah. But the mixed teams I always enjoyed coaching the mixed teams. I mean, it was fun. I mean, I enjoy any team that I've been coaching, and certainly one of my interesting memories is I got to coach Stan Black on a men's team in '88 when we went to Camrose. And I remember when we were getting ready, we were practicing and all that stuff. And I said, Stan, tell me what you think about. Like, what are you thinking about? What do you want me to tell you when you're on the approach? He says, I'm not going to tell you. I might have to bowl you someday. Yeah. You're not getting in my head. Whatever. Wait, Stan never slapped hands. I mean, he was very internalized, if you will. But anyways, we get to Camrose, and I put him in anchor. I got Don Sim on the team, Murray Young, and Murray was a funny story about that year too. But and Stan. Anyways, we Dave Sanderson was on that team, senior, not David.
Yeah.
Anyways, we get there, and I put Stan in anchor, and we're bowling in Camrose, and I just said to Stan, you do your thing. You need to be here. And he says, Fran, I will stand at the back, and when the fourth player comes up, I will come down, and I'll get ready. I'll be ready to bowl when it's my turn. Okay, Stan. Anyways, the first day he averaged 291. He would stand at the back. He'd have his glasses on, and he'd just be watching everything. And then when the fourth player went up, he'd take his glasses off, put it in his pocket. He'd come down and he'd stand beside me. And when the fourth bowler was done, he'd go up in the lane. He'd do his thing. We get to the last frame, and he'd come down, following his same routine, and he'd say, how's it look? And this one game in particular, I said, Stan, you need a double and a big count to win your match and get total. It's a meter. Okay. He gets down there, he throws beautiful pocket strike. Second ball, beautiful pocket strike. Third ball, beautiful pocket strike. He doesn't show any emotion, but when he got that third strike, he actually did a little fist pump when he came off the lane. Well, we were in awe.
Yeah, you guys
And he actually reached up and slapped a hand and smiled to boot. But he was never one for medals. He thought they were a joke to give second and third medals, like silver and bronze. The year before, the Calgary men had medaled, and he refused to accept his medal. So we ended up, I think it was second in Camrose. So before the banquet, I said, Stan, I need you to do me one more thing. And he says, and what is that? And I said, I need you to accept the medal graciously. He says, I'll do anything. Just get out of the way of the TV. I'm watching the hockey game. I said, okay, I'm holding you to this. So anyways, he did accept the medal, and the Southern men all got up and shook his hand when he accepted the medal.
That's awesome.
So that was my memory of Stan Black.
But awfully tough. I mean, you have a player who excelled at his game and averaged 291 and made big shots. How can you can't ask him to do a whole lot? A guy like Mark Jackson. Not got excited, but he also was in his routine. I think we've heard before, a guy like Tom Patterson was in his routine in the back and does his thing. So guys are, like you said, internalize them. You sort of have to respect the space a little bit and let them do their thing. But as long as they're executing on the lane, it's a tough. It's got to be tough for team members and as a coach to navigate that, right?
For sure.
But the reality is it exists.
Exactly. And another thing, when you talk about that. The Tournament Ladies Masters team in '95, we played at KG. And that was the year that the Alberta Tournament Ladies won gold for the first time ever. And we had Bev Gigluk was on the team, Tracy Smith, Penny Noble, Stacey Bradshaw, and Leanne Eric.
Yeah.
And, Brian Rossetti he was on the men's team that year. And he says, you're not a great team, but you'll probably play really well together. And I went, well, that's their goals. I mean, we met in Red Deer. We had a couple of practices, and all the girls said we want to win, but we don't want to waste a lot of energy doing a lot of rah cheering and that sort of thing. I mean, let's just focus on bowling and be supportive. Okay, so Bev was lead off. Leanne was usually anchor, and of course, there's no subs there. So I mean, we started the tournament. And we lost our first two games, and we went, okay, well, those games are done. Let's not waste time thinking about them. Let's just go out and play. So we won the next 12 or 14 games in a row. And, the first day we were down in the standings. The second day we played a whole lot better. And at the end of the day, I looked at the standings and went, we didn't move. Interesting. Oh, well, we'll see what happens the third day. So we go out the third day, and we won every game. So I never looked at the scores in between games. I mean, we were just involved in our games. And went up after the day was over, and people walking by patting me on the back going, way to go, congratulations, yeah, good job. And what are you talking about? I looked at the standings, and all of a sudden, boom, we were in first by 14 points, with 2 games to go the next day. Anyways, we ended up winning, but, it was funny. We were a very quiet team. I mean, we slapped hands. Some of the girls actually sat while they were waiting for their turn. And we went to bowl Manitoba the first day, and Dylas Turner's coaching the Manitoba ladies. And of course, Dylas I admired for many, many years as a coach and a proprietor as well. But anyways, she came up to us in about the third frame. She leans over to me and she says, "Fran, have we offended you?" And I went, "No, why?" She says, "Well, you're so quiet." And I said, "Oh, no, that's just our team. We're just not rah rambunctious. We're just in our game, in our zone." "Oh," she says, "Okay, I just want to make sure we're okay." I went, "Yeah, it's all good." And the tournament went on, and we played Quebec one game, and then there was a little bit of a delay, and we were waiting to play Ontario. So we're getting ready to go down, and one of the Quebec bowlers comes over to me, and she says, "Fran, I just want to let you know that we've overheard Ontario. They're going to come out screaming at you because they know you're quiet. And we like your team. So we just wanted to tell you to be prepared." And I went, "Well, I appreciate that." So I said, "Ontario's going to come out screaming. So, just so we know." By the third frame, Ontario was very quiet.
Go ahead and do what you want to do. That's fine. I'm going to do me.
Yeah. But we just stayed within ourselves, and we ended up winning, and it was a very emotional final day for all of us, because it was something that Alberta hadn't achieved before. And I always said to the ladies at the end of it, I said, "Savor this time, because it will never happen like this again. So just soak it up." And I still say that to people: get the best out of your event. This is only going to happen this way once. We could all be together again, but it'll be different the next time.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my standouts. And certainly the Canada Winter Games. What can you say?
Yeah, let's
about
hear there.
that?
That we talked. Yeah, earlier I mentioned the 83. I think there's a number of people that we've interviewed or chatted with over the last few months. It's amazing how many people were at that event. So
yeah,
how you obviously were there too, Fran. Talk us about
Winter
Games. Yeah,
it was fun. Bill Douglas, as he mentioned, he had the men's team. I had the ladies' team, and never the twain should meet. Because they bowled the opposite shift of us. We had 12 lanes there. There were 2 divisions in the ladies, 2 divisions in the men. So there was 12 teams participating in each. So we would bowl the morning, the men would bowl the afternoon, vice versa. And they had 6 lanes at the CFB Bagotville, 6 permanent lanes. And then, like Bill was saying, they built 6 portable lanes in the gymnasium. And, it was amazing. But we bowled I think 2 shifts on the permanent lanes and 1 on the portable lanes. And then when we got to the finals, we played on the portable lanes, because that's where CBC had the lights and cameras all set up. But it was fun. And like I was saying to you guys before we went on air, we flew, and we're really dating ourselves here, we flew Pacific Western Airlines charter flight to Bagotville, to CFB Bagotville. And we were in the first week of competition. And they flew all the athletes out, and the chef de mission group. We went out, and of course, Alberta bowlers, like Bill said, we always got the cowboy hats. And back then it was the white cowboy hats, and we got special ones for the Winter Games. Don Sim got us really special ones. Fancy. Anyways, we go to get off the plane, and we landed. They bring over the stairs, and we're walking down towards the tarmac, and the media's all there, because Alberta was, I think, the first province in. The media's there, and they saw all these athletes starting to come off. And then they saw these cowboy hats, and they said, "What's with the cowboy hats?" And they said, "Oh yeah, the Alberta bowlers have them." Everybody back on the plane. We want the people with the cowboy hats to come off the plane first, because we're taping this for posterity. It's going to be in the paper, yada, yada. So, all the other athletes are going, bowling shouldn't even be here. Why are they coming off the plane first? So that's all fine. We get to our residence, the dorms. It was a school. And of course, the guys were miles away from us. So we get in, and there's 18 girls to a room. And we're in with some skiers. And they looked at us and said, Bowling? What are you doing here?" We said, "Well, we're part of the games. We're here." So anyways, we had a lot of fun with the skiers, because they thought it was hilarious that our uniforms were skirts. So they would take our uniforms and they would parade around the room in our uniforms. But anyways, we got to opening ceremonies that first night, and we're all gathering. They're getting the provinces all together like we do for a parade-in for the Open. And they're getting everybody together, and the chef de mission comes up. She says, "Where are the bowlers? We want the bowlers to lead Team Alberta out right behind the mission staff and the flag bearer." So, of course, more grumbling. And I had a fairly good voice then. So I led Alberta in a, give me an A, give me an L, who have you got? And then we paraded out and we were waving our hats. And the elder Trudeau was prime minister then. So we waved our hats at him. And I think it was Sandra Burton waved her middle finger at him as well. But anyway, I digress.
I was gonna ask, like, who gave him the?
Yeah, but anyways, we let out Team Alberta because we had our cowboy hats, and we had just a super time there. It was great. We made some good friends along the way there. I mean, our team was Susan Lindholm from Camrose, Sandra Burton Coburn from Leduc, Penny Noble, a 15-year-old from Medicine Hat. Cheryl Kitchen from Airdrie, and Debbie Reed. It was supposed to be Diane Moracle, but she couldn't go. So Debbie was next in line, and she went. And, it was like our Tournament Ladies Masters team. We gelled together very, very well. And we ended up on top of our division. We won the semifinals against Quebec, I think it was, or was it BC? It was BC. And then we played Ontario in the finals, and it was a best of 3. And we just about caught them the first game. We missed them by a handful of points, and then they beat us soundly the second game. But we ended up with a silver medal, but it was an amazing experience. We didn't trust the transportation system, so our team, I think it was Penny's mom and dad, Liz and Bob, they arranged to get a car rented for us. So we rented a car and drove to and from our billet place, or not our billet place, but our residence to Bagotville. And it was bitterly cold out there. And, some days we were afraid the car wasn't going to start, but, thankfully it did all the time. But we would get requests from some of the other teams. They'd say, when you're not bowling, could you come and watch us and bring your cowboy hats? Yeah, okay, yeah, we can go do that. So we'd go watch swimming, or we'd go watch another indoor sport, and we'd bring our hats and wave them. And every day after bowling, we would stop at this restaurant on the highway, and we'd go in. And the first time we went in, they looked at us and said, "What are you doing?" And we said, "Well, we're Canada Winter Games. We have cowboy hats. We're bowling. We're jouer de cinq." And they said, "Oh, okay, that's nice." Well, we went in the second day and had our hats again, and they would come up and they'd say, "How did you do today?" And the third day it was, "You're doing really well. Can we buy you drinks?" We went, "Oh, we're really not supposed to do that. And Penny's not old enough yet." "Oh, that doesn't matter. We'll bring you drinks." We'll have Pepsi. But, it was fun that way. And we had to fill the car up with gas early in the event. And I went into this gas station and filled up, and they had newspapers sitting on the counter. Well, lo and behold, it's the Journal de Québec. And what's on the front page but the Canada Winter Games and Team Alberta coming into the opening ceremonies with all the cowboy hats waving. So I went out to the car and I said, "How many newspapers do I need to get?" And I showed them the newspaper. So we all got our souvenir newspaper with us on the front of the paper.
And here's where we cue Carrie to pull the image of that newspaper.
Well, it's in the crawl space. I should have brought it up. Bill Douglas is in the picture. Me, not so much.
That'd be a really cool photo to get. So if anybody has that, hook us up.
It was neat. And the medals that they had, it was the Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean area that hosted, and it was a really neat design of the medal. And it's certainly a medal that I don't want to part with, that's for sure. But those were good, definitely good.
A year before was the '82 or the '80 Alberta Winter Games that you played and coached. A little bit of it's not the Canada Games, but it's still kind of fun playing just even a local one, Alberta Winter Games, right?
Yeah, that was a different event, and that was in '82. Yeah, and there was a lot going on for me in '82. I mean, I played the Open, we won provincials, we went to nationals on our home lanes. We had the Alberta Winter Games. I was becoming a course conductor, and I was technical coordinator. I worked under Bill Plum doing that for a bit. So it was a busy year, but the Alberta Winter Games, I think it was in Lloydminster. And it was an interesting team. We had 2 older ladies on the team, and then I think it was a 5-player team. And then there was 3 of us. And the 2 older ladies somehow got on the wrong bus. And I can't remember where they were headed to, but it wasn't Lloydminster. Anyways, they finally found their way to Lloydminster, and we played. It wasn't so much, we didn't fare that well, but it was a fun event. It was definitely fun. But then, thankfully in later years, it focused more on getting youth involved in the games, which is where it should have been. And then they created the senior games, of course, for seniors.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which is still going strong. I do believe 5-pin bowling is still part of the senior games, is it not?
Absolutely.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And
when did the youth winter games stop for 5-pin bowling?
08 maybe, around that time.
Yeah.
06? Yeah.
I would have played 94, maybe 93.
I played 06. I think it was either 08 or 10 or 10. That would be the ones. 2010, 2008. Yeah. But
certainly as far as bowling goes, I think my highlight was the 82 Open. I had tried for a few years to make the team in Calgary and came close, but no cigar. So that's when I really went out and practiced a lot, got the key to Gibson's Westwood Bowl, went out and really put some extra stuff. And I thought, if I don't make it this year, I'm probably never going to make it. So I ended up, I think it was 4th. There was Bonnie Clarke and Debbie Kingsmith and Charlie Miller, Nancy Bacus, Tracy Finlater, myself, and we chose Char Williams as our coach. We were going to play in Medicine Hat, Char's hometown. And, that was a good event. We had the last game bye that year. Oh. But I remember Char at the beginning, she said, Nancy and Fran are rookies. They're going to play. They're going to start the first game. And, that's one of the things I learned as a coach is that, I have to start rookies. But anyways, so she had Charlie in leadoff, and I believe I was second in the lineup. And I remember distinctly getting up on the approach for my first ball of the first game. And I said, it's taken you so many years to get here. Don't screw up now. And
that's good positive talk, right?
I threw a 5-bagger to start.
Nice.
Oh, wow. This is all right. This is great. No problems here. And, we went on, and of course it was a nail biter at the end. We barely won we survived the bye game, and Southern ladies helped us a lot. I think they beat, I want to say Edmonton, and allowed us to win. But, it was a great experience. And then we got to go to Chinook Bowlerdrome to play the Nationals, and, that was fine. And we were all Chinook bowlers anyways. Charlie Miller won singles that year at the provincials, and she opted to bowl just singles because they had to make a choice. So we pulled up our alternate, which was Helen Pell, and we did that because the mixed team also won from Calgary that year, so we couldn't pull from there. And same thing, it went down to the last game, the last frame at Nationals, and we ended up pulling that one out too, which was neat. And we earned an Alberta Achievement Award for our achievement on the lanes and winning the national championship. I was actually lucky. I won 2 that year, 2 Alberta Achievement Awards, because my 1982 high schools team also won nationals. I had coached them, and it was a telephone hookup back then for nationals, and we won nationals for the girls team that year too. So
yeah, that was something that was comment. It was the youth challenge, but obviously at the time it was the high schools at that time. So. And that it was a phone-in type of thing across the country?
The national, we had every province had a provincial championship, and then they did a telephone hookup to determine national winners, rather than what they do now in taking the top 3 girls, top 3 boys from the provincials and making up a 6-player team. So they had a girls team, a boys team, and a mixed team, and they did telephone hookup, and we won. I think we won mixed team and girls team that year in the national aggregate.
Not to be confused with a different type of a telephone hookup, right?
That's exactly right. Good point.
That's the after dark, 5PU after dark stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
Fran, you were talking about the Alberta Achievement Award. Has that been something that isn't instituted anymore? Like, I'm not sure you
I don't
Edmonton
think
guys
so.
have won enough nationals. Do you guys? I know you do city achievements. We did that for Central 2 in Red Deer, but
Yeah.
I don't ever remember hearing of a Alberta Achievement Award ever issued for something
No,
like
I've
that.
never
No.
heard it either.
No, I think that was in Peter Lougheed's time when he was premier, and I never heard much more about it after that even. But yeah,
That's
it was
cool.
kind of neat because we got to go to Edmonton, expenses paid, and we 2 representatives from each team were invited to it, and it was kind of neat to be in the same room as so many other athletes from different sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
A little comment. C5 Coach of the Year in 88 and 95. What was special about those years, if you can?
Oh, 88 was designated the year of the coach by the Sporting Association of Canada. So each province nominated coaches in different sports, and of course, 5-pin bowling was no exception. Mike Violini and Don Gill, who was president of A5 at the time, and I believe Tom Boytel, I think they got together and looked through a bunch of different applications, and I was fortunate enough to have been chosen as the Alberta Coach of the Year. And then they submitted my name nationally, and I earned the 5-pin bowling's Coach of the Year award that year, and it was for all achievements up to that point in time. It just wasn't one year's achievements. Of course, it changed after that because then we started doing Coach of the Year for bowling every year. And then, of course, we branched out to do grassroots as well as elite and that sort of thing. So that was a very special one. And of course, in 95, I think based on the performance of our Alberta tournament ladies and some of the other things, the Open and whatnot, I was fortunate to have been nominated for Coach of the Year again that year, and again was humbled by it because my mentor Dylas Turner also won 2 National Coach of the Year titles. So I thought, this is kind of neat to be in the company of her. I mean, she was an amazing coach. What she could do with the Winnipeg ladies and the Manitoba ladies, be it the Masters or the Open. My goal as a coach was always to learn something from every coaching experience. And I do the same thing when I give workshops, to try and learn something to get better. And, I was always amazed at, how she could get her teams to bond together for that common purpose of being the best you can be at this point in time. So it was neat to be in the same company as her, that's for sure.
That's crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also back in 2018, we changed the Grassroots Coach of the Year award in honor of your name, right, in Alberta. So yeah, so I don't know if you've been following along, but so it is named after you.
When you
I
think
did not
the
know that.
namesake should be notified that
that was before my time. So I mean. But anyways, yes.
Talk to Annette about that. Jeez.
You should talk to her. Yeah, get her on the phone.
It used to be the Ernie Rogie before.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Well, the national one was the Ernie Rogie Award. When I won in 95, it was the Ernie Rogie Coach of the Year Award.
And now it's the Fran Clarke. Is that what you're saying, Tim?
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know you didn't know. I guess
I did not know.
Surprise. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Hey, a 5-pin universe exclusive. Look at that.
Breaking news.
Well, now I feel all flushed and
3 years
and Dave
late.
Post is the elite, right? Is that what it is?
In Alberta, it's Ernie Rogie, and then for elite, and then Fran for the grassroots.
In Alberta.
On a national level, it is Dave Post. Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so Alberta grassroots is named after Fran Clarke.
Yeah.
Well, and Dave was a great guy to work with on the technical side of things too. I mean, I left my position as technical director the first time in '96 because I was managing Chinook Bolodrome, and I felt, I probably had enough on my plate, and I left. And a few years later, in the mid 2000s, Brian Rossetti talked to me and said, we're getting stagnant in the in rewriting our coaching programs, and we need to get kick-started again. And he said, I'm hoping that you would be able to come back and help, Dave and the national group get this going again. So I said, yeah, I can do that. But, when we get these 2 workshops done, I'm gone. I'm done again. And he said, no, fair enough. We can do that. So we did it. And my first meeting with Dave, I mean, we had our technical group meet, and there was Denise Saint-Onge and Dave, and I don't recall the rest of the people, but there was a handful of us, and we were there for a weekend. And I remember Dave on the Sunday saying, I can't believe this, you guys. He says, in 3 days, we've got more done than the last 2.5 years. He said, this is great. He says, we'll put this all together. We'll get approval from the CAC, and we'll go from there. And wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. All of a sudden, we had a community sport initiation workshop going. And, it was great. And then we started working on comp intro. And, it was very interesting getting together and putting things together. And of course, I always argued with Dave that there's not enough technical in the workshops. We need more technical. He says, yeah, CAC wants more theory. And I said, but, I'm listed as a certified coach for community sport initiation 10-pin. I would never go and try and coach a 10-pin bowler. He says, yeah, but you've got your qualifications. I said, yeah, but I don't know enough technical on the 10-pin side, even though I've bowled 10-pin. I just did not agree with that. But anyways, it was neat that way. And actually digressing, I was actually a paid technical director in Alberta for a year. It was a paid position, and I worked for all of 5-pin bowling. I worked for Bowl Alberta. I worked for the Masters. I worked for the 5-pin, and I reported to Bill Plum. And I did that for a year back in 91 to 92, just before I took over managing Chinook. And it was interesting because I just lost my job in the oil patch. They had some trimming of middle management, and that's where I was. I was a finance analyst for 12 years with Gulf Canada, who later became ConocoPhillips. And I was waiting for them to pay me to leave. I just had enough of the stress of the oil patch, and I had it figured down to the rounded dollar how much they would pay me to leave based on my seniority. And I was in middle management, so I was ready to leave. And it just so happened that was the time when bowling said, we've got enough funding that we could pay somebody to be a technical director in Alberta. So I was a few weeks out of work, and all of a sudden I went up to Linwood Bowl in Edmonton and had an interview for the job, and became a paid technical director I guess it was about June of 1991. And I did that until June of 92. And that's when the position of general manager at Chinook Bowlodrome came up, and friends phoned me and said, there's a career opportunity in the Herald newspaper you might be interested in. And I went, well, yeah, maybe. And when the third or fourth person phoned me and said, you should look at this, I went, well, okay. So I sent in a resume to Cambridge Leaseholds, which was the management company of Chinook Centre. And a few days later, had a 2-hour interview with the mall manager, because Chinook Bowlodrome was owned by whoever managed that mall. It wasn't an independent operation. So what happened is that I was given a personal services contract with Cambridge Leaseholds to manage their asset, Chinook Bowlodrome. Gotcha. So that's how I got into managing Chinook Bowlodrome. And then, of course, down the road, we bought it when Ontria, the Ontario Teachers Pension Fund, came in and started taking over some of the assets. They said, we can't directly own an entertainment facility, and the bowling center is that. So Terry Napper, manager of Chinook Centre, sell it. So Terry came to me and said, why don't you guys buy it? And I said, well, I don't know if I want to buy it or not. It's fun spending your money. And doing things. I don't know, I want to spend my money. He says, well, we'll sell it to you, steal of a deal, but you need to do renovations. And he says, we don't mean a paint job. We mean do renovations. So, back in 2003, we bought it from the mall, and we started lining up our plans. Well, as some of you may know, we gutted the place and started over from scratch. We closed the middle of May in 2004, because the contractor said, we'll start the middle of May and we'll be 6 weeks. It'll take us 6 weeks to do the job, and then you can open again. So we closed the middle of May, and they got going after Stampede Week, which was the middle of July. So we laid off all of our part-time staff, like our pin chasers and things like that, snack bar staff. But we continued to pay the salaries of our salaried staff, which was 6 people. And we paid them just so that we'd have them when we opened up again. And all they had to do was come in a couple days a week, answer phones, like check the answering machine, because we moved our phones over to the vacant library space, which is where all of the bowling equipment was stored. And we continued to do that, and we kept getting further and further behind, and it was costing more and more money. We had to do hazmat removal. Well, the mall did hazmat removal. They removed all the asbestos under the 6 layers of paint that had been there, but it took them longer to do that. And once they got that done, then our contractor came in and started to work, and they worked at a snail's pace, and it was pretty scary. My husband, Paul, he was the non-bowler of our partners. We had Marie and Bill Davidson as well. Marie was a top 5 pin bowler in Calgary for years. Bill was a retired CA with Price Waterhouse, I think it was. Anyways, we got to one point in time in September, and Bill said, I think we should cease and desist. And I said, Bill, we're in too deep. I mean, we had to put our houses up for hawk. We had mortgages coming out the wazoo. And I said, we can't stop now. We have to keep going. And we finally said to the contractor, we are opening right after Thanksgiving Day. You better be ready. And I went up to the mall manager, to Terry, and thankfully he was on our side, and we had negotiated. And normally the mall would only give out 5-year leases. And I said, we need more than 5 years to get payback on this. I mean, my business background is telling me that this isn't going to happen in the short run. I said, we need at least a 10-year lease. So he got us a 10-year lease. And I said, we have to open soon. What can we do to light a fire under these guys, this contractor, to get them going? And he said, leave that to me. We'll put some pressure on them. So anyways, I said, we need to open. We're running out of money. We really are running out of money. We've dipped into our personal pockets to continue to pay the staff and yada, yada. And Terry said to me, he says, Fran, he said, you don't want to open when you're not quite ready. He says, you want the wow effect. So he says, trust me when I say this, make sure everything is done before you open. Well, everything was just about done. The counters at the back weren't yet fixed. They were movable. They hadn't been screwed or bolted down yet. But it was funny, the last week, Kathy Heinrich and Gail Olaschuk and I, we were literally putting the seating in ourselves. We had all these bench seats made by a company, Iron Furniture in Edmonton. And we were literally installing the benches, the 3 of us, while Alex and Rick and everybody else that we could grab were finishing Peter Bauer's work. They were helping Peter Bauer finish putting the lanes in and the ball wells, all that crap. Anyways, we got ready, we opened. And I'll remember the first Wednesday we were opened. It was middle October. And the Masters League, the Men's Masters League was coming into play. And I'll always remember Colin Kier. I got a lot of good memories of Colin. But he came in, and I was there, the owner. I'm there every day, every night that first week to welcome people back and thank them for sticking with us. And Colin walked in, ball bag in hand, and his jaw dropped, I swear, a foot. And he came up to me, he said, Fran, this is awesome. And I went, pardon? He says, you heard me. This is awesome. He says, I never imagined when you said you guys were renovating that you would do something like this. He said, I can't believe what you've done. And we would never believe you were going to be open.
It's a big difference.
I mean, and the mall manager was right. You wanted the wow. And I said, that's the wow effect Terry was talking about. We had league bowlers writing us letters thanking us for what we did for bowling in Calgary, because we spent $1.6 million in 2004 to gut the place and rebuild it. And we opened up and we flew. We were run off our feet. We didn't stop that year. It was just amazing. It was a good thing, and thankfully it paid off for us. I mean, we managed to get out of debt and pay the bills and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's awesome. Kind of looking back at now. Would you ever think that type of renovation would have took 6 weeks, or was that just a hope and a prayer that was actually going to be something that a contractor could pull off? Right, such a large building.
It was. I mean, it was 28,000 square feet. And they did everything. I mean, if you saw the old pictures versus the before and after, I mean, what they did was a total transformation. It was amazing. The bulkhead they built for our masking units. I mean, you guys know how much masking units weigh. Not much. I mean, it's coroplast. That's about it. But you could have hung a car off our bulkhead. I mean, steel from lane 1 to lane 32 was a steel massive thing. And, we put our little coroplast things on and went, yeah, okay, that'll work. But, I mean,
that might
it was
last.
amazing.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty scary when we started doing it, but it certainly paid off, and it was really gratifying. To see that the league bowlers hung in there with us. They waited for us to get back into business and supported us all the way.
So how about chat about some of the amazing events that you would have helped host along the way, at Chinook or I guess otherwise? I mean, number of national, provincial events that you would have hosted, Autumn Open for a little bit there too.
We did, yeah. Yeah, well, the Autumn Open, I mean, we did 25 years of the Autumn Open. That was a great event, and it was tiring. I mean, it was a 40-hour weekend from Friday night to Sunday night for the staff. And, you went home and you smelt like a cigarette ashtray in the days where smoking was still allowed. I mean, I would come home and Paul would say, don't even come in the house. Take your clothes off, go to the shower.
On the porch. Take your clothes off outside.
No kidding. But, it was great. The Autumn Open, our staff, our pin chasers, everybody got so excited about hosting the Autumn Open. Our pin chasers would offer, they would say, I'm available any and all shifts. And of course they went in the back, they had headsets on. They never saw the light of day until the end of when there was a break, they'd come out after 4 games or 8 games, whatever. But, it was great hosting the Autumn Open, but we were still owned by the mall. And the Western Regional Manager, he would call me in and he'd say, he says, the mall does very well on Thanksgiving weekend, but we see a high expense because we were all employed by the mall. He says, I see a high expense. I see lots of overtime. I see very little revenue. Why is this? I said, well, we host this big cash tournament and we only take $1 a game for lineage. And, we've got overtime. We double up our staff. We didn't always have the snack bar then either. It was a separate entity. And he said, well, I don't know about that. You may want to rethink it. And, as a result, we ended up not hosting the Autumn Open again, and Toppler Bowl took it over for a few years. And then Paradise, of course, have continued to run it, still very successfly given these times. Yeah. It's great. But yeah, the Autumn Open was always great. We hosted YBC Nationals a couple times. I was the host proprietor for the YBC Nationals in 2001. And that was back in the day where we still had to get billet houses for all the kids. They didn't stay at the hotels. So I had a former YBC bowler that I had coached at the high schools and youth challenge, Carrie Track. She was my billet chairperson. Harvey Potsa was our transportation chairperson. I said to Harvey, "You're big, you're strong, you're not going to take guff from anybody. You're the transportation guy."
Yeah, I love it.
So we had a lot of people. The Young family, they did all sorts of stuff. They were DJ, they were souvenirs, they did everything. We had we had different bowling centers. Shamrock Lanes hosted a part of it. Toppler hosted, Paradise hosted, we hosted. So it was 4 centers involved in hosting the event. So I was running from one center to the other to make sure everything was going smoothly. And, it was a great event. It was pretty scary for us because we had all 32 lanes going. And we never liked to go with all 32 lanes going because if we had a machine failure, like we did one year at the Autumn Open, we'd be in big trouble. But anyways, it went off very well. It was great. We were the head office. And Paul's giving me a note. He says we were the first center in Calgary to go non-smoking before the bylaws came in.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But much to his relief.
Okay.
But anyways, the YBC Nationals was great. Of course, we had the team pictures done, and we borrowed a chuck wagon from the Blackfoot Inn. It was Shaw GMC. We borrowed their chuck wagon, and we used that for a backdrop. One of the kids that worked for us, he was an artist, a graphic artist. He designed our logo and designed subsequent logos for Don Sim and us in subsequent events. Guy was great at doing that, so he designed our pin. We used it on the chuck wagon tarp. That was the backdrop for the team pictures. But I mean, what a weekend of bowling! Exhausting but exhilarating at the same time.
So, Fran, Dex and I were both at that Nationals to date ourselves.
Yeah.
And I
We're
still
all
have
too, Nick. We're all too.
I still have the photo. I remember the chuck wagon and everything with the big hay bales and everything else like that. And I remember where do we go for the Western day? We went to I think we went. Oh no, that was the Youth Challenge. We went to, it was a barbecue ranch, northeast Calgary, just on the outskirts of Calgary. It was awesome. We really
it was a lot of fun.
It was great. And then I still have, I think you guys gave out like paper Stetsons, right?
Yep.
Paper Stetsons. I have all that signed and went back through it all. Yeah, it was a great year.
Yeah. It was fun. Tom would have been your coach, wouldn't he have? Was it Tom that year?
No,
Jim
2001 2001 was the year that Tom moved down to Calgary.
Oh,
so he left partway through the season. We had Jim Bradshaw coach us.
Jim. Oh yeah, Jim. Yeah.
Were you junior or senior then?
Junior. We went 19-2.
Ooh, yes.
Nice.
Yeah. And you guys say you're old. Holy.
That was a good event. The opens, we did a couple of open provincials that I chaired, and one year I chaired it and I coached. What was I thinking? That was good. Certainly in 2010, it was our 50th anniversary of Chinook Center. So we actually went to the Calgary 5-pin and the A5 and said, at that time, Calgary always hosted on the 5s. Like, they hosted in 90, 95, 2000. It was easy to remember when we were hosting. So 2010 came up. It was our 50th anniversary at Chinook. And I said to the associations, we want to host, and we will subsidize some of the expenses in hosting because it's a special year for us. Right. So we had Ken and Ann Norris. They looked after developing the program and the souvenir program. So they went through the archives. They got some before shots of when the bowling center was being built. And on the opposite pages, they would have the before, like when we were being built versus the renovated shot of the same angle. So their programs were always a work of art. But I mean, it was a great event. And of course, it was fun to host it. That was the year where we tried to do away with the banquet to reduce expenses. And we did the awards presentations at the bowling center. And we served hors d'oeuvres. We served appetizers while people sat in the bleachers and watched the step ladder. We brought in some dignitaries. We brought in the presenters for the awards. We brought in Bill Plum and Tommy Campbell, and Jennifer Smith helped us out. The Norrises helped us out. So we had some people from the past, some of our legends came and helped us present. And of course, at the host night, the first night of the provincials, it was a legends night as well, where we had some of our Calgary bowlers who who made it in the 5-pin bowling world, you know, and Greg Gigluck was one of our Calgary legends because he started in Calgary.
Yeah.
And then, you know, of course, as I said, at that banquet or at that awards thing, you know, somebody from Red Deer swept him off his feet and we lost our Greg. But it was for a good cause. All for a
That's
good
where we
cause.
handed out the top 100 bowlers of all time plaques, didn't we? At the banquet, at the Open,
Was it at that one?
I thought it was somewhere.
Like
We went
2010?
over there.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
over.
might have-
Yeah.
Top 100 of all time on I remember doing the award ceremony afterwards on the step ladder and the award ceremony.
Yeah. So I mean, that was fun. The Alberta Open in '95 was fun as well. That's when I lost my voice, and Don Sim and Mike Violini gave me such a bad time about being MC and having no voice. And so I've learned from there, you know, try not to lose your voice. The Youth Challenge Provincials, we hosted Youth Challenge Provincials and we hosted the Youth Challenge Nationals as well. And those were great events as well.
Fran, I believe in '95 you were MC, wasn't that Leduc? And there was a medical incident we had in the I wasn't bowling yet, but I was there volunteering with Trudy Metcalf.
Yeah.
And at the banquet, my brother and I would spend, you know, each night out there. And I remember at the banquet.
Oh yeah, that was fun. That was fun. I tried to be Tom Alford that night and write a poem. And because Alford, his claim to fame when he was MC, he would write a poem about the Open.
Correct.
So I wrote a poem that year, and I accused Calgary of being old, you know, and of Edmonton being fast because Howell was on the team, and you know, that sort of stuff. It was the 25th anniversary of the Alberta Open that year, and I rented a tuxedo.
Yeah, you did.
So I had the white tails on for the presentation, and that was a good event too. That was a memorable time. I mean, it was kind of neat that Trudy had asked me to be the MC, and it was good.
I remember sitting by a table and, you know, a fellow from Edmonton had a medical incident and it was all like, oh, time out here, time out. And obviously,
and I couldn't see a thing.
Yeah, and you were at the front, and I remember we were at the back, and I was. Yeah,
I was up on the stage, and they had lights on, and I couldn't see a thing back then, and I heard Sandra Coburn yell, "Stop!"
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but all was good and healthy and everything ended up working out. It was just sort of a dehydration sort of moment that we needed some attention at the time. But,
and we had a medical issue in 2000 as well. I think it was the. Bernice Guthrie was in an accident, and I think the Marshall girls were involved in an accident on the way to the carriage house for the banquet.
Yeah, that was with Bob Guthrie, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, Bob's wife, I think Bernice. I think she was the one that had an injury there. That was a neat banquet as well. I had invited Mary Curry to be our guest presenter that year, and it was neat. She was thrilled to death that she was invited. And I remember when I introduced her, there was a wedding going on in the banquet room next to us, and they were doing this cheering and screaming as I'm in the middle of introducing Mary Curry. So I stopped for a second and said, there's a wedding going on next door. Let's just wait for that to die down because this is too important. And I got through introducing Mary, and I swear the whole room stood up and applauded for a full minute. And Mary just stood there going, wow, this is so nice. And I'm thinking, you're the incredible Mary Curry.
Yeah.
You know, and it was funny because she said, I got to come down to the center and I got to watch Diane bowl. I haven't seen her since she was a kid, or something like that. And even Diane said it was so nice to see Mary Curry again. And, so that was fun that year too. And, of course, that was the year that our mixed team won and went to nationals. So I was named Alberta Coach of the Year that year. And it was funny because I was the MC as well as a coach. And Maria pushed me aside and said, you can't give out this award. And I went, okay. So I stood aside, and then she announced that I was the Coach of the Year. And I went, oh, okay, I guess that's why. All right. Okay. I'm okay with that.
This is the Fran Clarke Award.
Well, it wasn't Coach of the Year, pardon me. It was the All-Star Coach.
Yeah.
It was the All-Star Coach for the Open. Yeah. That's what that was. So
how about, how about your involvement with the youth bowling school? Obviously, did that for a lot of years, part of the bowling federation and
yeah.
the bowling school sort of side of things.
That was I was all involved. The first year, Bill Plum said, we're going to start a youth bowling school, and we're going to invite 100 5-pin bowlers. So we need a whole bunch of coaches, and we're going to have classroom sessions and online sessions, and everybody's going to get a uniform. We all got track suits, and we stayed at the U of C in the residences there. And the first year was amazing. I got to work a lot with Marie Stevenson, Tom's mom. Stevie, as she was known, from Medicine Hat. And we got trained to be facilitators for the instructors and coaches clinic together. So we did a lot of clinics together, and we got to work together at the youth camp for a few years. And, it was a great experience. And it was in the early years. And I only did it from 86 to about 2001. And in the latter years, it was sort of off and on. But I did it. It was a really good experience, and the intentions were really good. The numbers were just huge. To look after 100 kids, and we had 10 or 12 coaches and then a bunch of chaperones and that sort of thing. And I think it was in the early years, Bill Plum invited Tom Patterson. I think it was Bill. I think Bill was still involved then. He invited Tom Patterson to come as a guest coach. So Tom came, and I remember him saying, I can do this better. He said, I'm going to go home, I'm going to think about this, and I'm going to get a Saskatchewan Youth Bowling School done too. And, he did. And of course, that's, in my mind, that is the youth bowling school to go to. I mean, I was fortunate enough to go as a coach one year. And, it's great. His layout is great. I mean, what can you say about Tom that hasn't already been said? I mean, it's he's an amazing guy for the sport of 5-pin bowling. I mean, a super ambassador. So, I mean, the school was great. We had, I remember in one of my last years of coaching, we had Michelle Hayner come down from Yellowknife for it. And at the time, she was the golden girl of the YBC Nationals. She was a phenomenal bowler, and she came in. That was when Mike Violini was coordinating the school, and he put her in my group, and it was amazing. The talent she had was amazing. Not taking anything away from any of the other bowlers, but it was neat that she was able to come in and participate. And it was kind of neat because shortly after that, I went up to Yellowknife to do a level 2 training workshop, as well as lane agent training, and I got to meet her mom and dad all over again. So it was kind of fun. But yeah, the youth camp was great. It was good. I think Mike always wanted to make sure that we had social aspect to the camp. He called it a camp. Of course, Tom Patterson says, we're not out around the fire. It's a school. It's a bowling school. You're learning to bowl. I actually took one of Tom's technique bowling workshops as well. And, I was amazed between his youth bowling school and the technique bowling school, the number of hours that you spent on the lanes. Mm-hmm. And it was right up my alley, because I said, that's what you want to do. You want to get better on the lanes. What better place to do it than on the lanes?
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
It was great. It was great that way. But yeah, it was a good stepping stone for many other schools across the country.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And when was that? Sorry, Fran, I think if I missed that.
86.
When did that start? 86.
The youth bowling school in Alberta started, I think it was in 86, and went through. I mean, it was still running when I left Alberta.
Mm-hmm.
I think it hasn't run the last couple of years, Tim. A little COVID and sort of just
COVID,
numbers,
yeah.
and sort of there was some, it just.
And
I think there was an event conflict the last time they were trying to run it, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I think there's just they're trying to restructure it now too.
Yeah.
They're trying to set it up so that it's like a weekend event that rotates between the races. So there'll be one in Edmonton, one in Calgary, one in GP, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, and Grady, when he took the reins over for the youth camp in Alberta, I mean, he did a great job of getting that organized as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think very successful for a lot of years, but I think just
Yeah.
as time goes on, there's external factors in play
Yeah.
that force you to start making changes and adjustments, and that might mean that you have to close it for a couple of years before it comes back
Yeah.
Well,
in another reiteration.
and cost becomes a factor too. I mean,
Sure.
getting
Yeah.
whether it's Mount Royal or or Grant McEwen, wherever you go for residences, and the bowling lanes, it's great in the summertime. I mean, not a problem getting lanes. But and another thing I think that's really helped youth is the scholarship tournament in Alberta. I mean, the youth scholarship tournament. I mean, that was great. That was another event that we looked forward to hosting. I mean, it was Bonnie Doon and Chinook in the first few years. We would alternate hosting it, and that was a great event for youth development for sure. And great scholarship opportunities. The monies that were available that kids could use to further their education was great.
Yeah, I just wish it got started just a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we hit it like the last couple of years, Tim?
The last year, yeah.
Yeah, just the last year, and we made some okay money at it too, but just wish it was around a little bit longer. But those kids that have started since Bantams, it's awesome. Such a huge opportunity for them down the road.
Yeah.
Well, they just
definitely.
remember it every year. It's part of what they do, right?
Mhm.
It becomes automatic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. It's like the Green and Gold or the Autumn Open or the TPC.
Becomes part of the
You
schedule.
put it down on the calendar. There it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got a few neat little accolades here, Fran, and I'm sure there's a much longer list of them that you're well deserving of, but maybe we'll touch on each of them individually. Recipient, Bowl Canada President's Award for contribution to the sport of 5-pin bowling. That's a pretty cool one for sure.
It was, and that was, Bowl Alberta people nominated me for that, and it was a nice way to step away from being a proprietor, and it was very, very humbling for me, that's for sure.
Yeah, especially from your peers when you're being recognized by them, that contribution to them for all the boards and all the treasury work and all the work you've done just to contribute from a proprietor standpoint.
Well,
for sure.
and looking at who else has been the recipient of that award, I think, wow, that's neat to be in their company.
Yeah. Recipient of the Master Bowlers Association of Canada Awards of Excellence for Exceptional Technical Development in 2007. That one too.
That was a neat one. It was kind of funny. Brian Rossetti was president of the Masters at the time, and Linda Raymond was also on the board. And they said, let's get together for lunch someday. And I'm, oh yeah, okay, whatever. So got together for lunch, and Brian says, this is usually supposed to be a surprise, but we don't think we can pull this one over on you. So we need you to write a resume or a bio because we're nominating you for a Lifetime Achievement Award. Award of Excellence from the MBAC. So he says, we need you to write it because we can't put it all together. So I went, well, okay, I'll put that together. And he says, and you get to, we'll fly you to Surrey and you can be my second delegate and get this award at the banquet. So that's what I did. I put together what I could. And it was funny. I was so disappointed because I wrote up this bio, of things that I had done on the technical side of things. And then the last line I put, shot a hole in one in 2006. And they didn't even mention it at the awards thing. And I thought, oh man.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
What a waste.
No, but anyways, I guess it just didn't fit what they were looking for. So they kept it out of that. So, but on my original one, I thought, yeah, it's still there. They just didn't say it. So jealous.
And then another one, obviously, in 2013, the Alberta 5-pin and the Canadian 5-pin lifetime membership to be named. That's pretty cool too. That's
and I had no idea about those. We hosted the Open Nationals in 14, and I'm doing Alberta Night. I'm the MC of Alberta Night, and I sit down, and Dave Post gets up, and he's talking away, and I'm thinking, yeah, okay, right. He's talking about this bowler and their accomplishments, and I think I'm sitting beside Maria Wood, and he's talking, and he mentions this one thing, and I got, I've done that. And then he mentioned something else, and he's going down this list, and I'm going, oh crap. And I looked at Maria and she started to smirk and I went, oh, you got me. You absolutely got me. And I was stunned. I said, it's not good for the MC to be speechless, but I'm speechless. But, I think everything that we do, I mean, certainly that you guys are doing is for love of the game. And bowling has always been near and dear to my heart. The technical side especially was something that once I got involved in it, I just found it really rewarding and felt I was able to contribute. I learned from it. I learned a lot of stuff from many people that I was involved with along the way too. And, simply, I mean, even being proprietor at Chinook for 21, 22 years, I always looked forward to going into work. Contrary to when I was in the oil patch where the last while I dreaded going into work and I couldn't wait to leave, I always looked forward to going to work. And when Rick and Kathy Heinrich bought the center from us, I said, I always looked forward to going to work. And some days I hated to leave. It was always there, and, working 7 days a week during the prime season, it was no big deal because that's what I did. And, it's for love of the game. That's, quite simply what I put it down to.
No, the bowling world was definitely very fortunate to have you in it. As long as we've been involved with bowling, your name was right at the top of that list all the time.
Well, it was fun, and there have been a lot of fun experiences, and one of the other things was, I got to be judge of play on the CBCs on TSN for 3 seasons, I think it was.
Neat, yep.
And that was because Frank Sisson said to Paul Oliveira, why don't you get Fran down here? She's the judge of play. She knows all that stuff. And Paul went, oh, yeah, okay. And I got to do that, and that was a lot of fun because, I get to kibitz with a lot of the bowlers that, you got to see at different provincial and national events. I mean, it was always fun watching the Alberta bowlers and things like that. And some of the bowlers that I knew from across the country. I mean, that was a great experience doing that too.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on where bowling is at right now? The state of the game, obviously, numbers across the country or tournament wise, or just overall, thoughts on the game today?
If we could take COVID out of the equation, I think it'd be great. Talking with Ray Britton at Brecon Lanes when I go in to coach the Bantams on Saturday mornings, he says things were really starting to pick up before Christmas. Then we get slammed with this new variant, and he said it's pretty scary. He said, you just don't know, and like he said, he really feels for the smaller centers, the rural ones that are fighting to keep the doors open. It's scary. I mean, we see our numbers dwindling. League play is going down. Youth bowling is really scary. How that's going down. I mean, thankfully Ray has a good program at Brecon Lanes. He's got really good coaches. I mean, he's got 3 shifts, 2 on Saturday, 1 after school on Thursdays. I only go in for 1 because it's a 65-kilometer round trip for me to get in there, but I still like being involved. But his league has stayed pretty much even from last year, but he's got some great coaches. I mean, the team of coaches that are there Saturday when I'm there are really good. One of our coaches, he's a school bus driver, and he's probably recruited, 10 or 11 kids new to bowling into the program this year, and they're bantams and juniors, and it's great. And they're great kids as well. And he's really good. This Coach Perry is really good at getting involved with the kids and giving them extra practice sessions, meeting them early to get them queued up for the day. And it's fun. I enjoy going down there and working with the kids. There's great coaches, good staff, good bowlers. It's good that way, but some of the other centers aren't as fortunate, and their numbers are really hurting. And who's to say if we're going to be able to have any zone or provincial rounds for youth bowling this year, depending on stuff. I mean, our Island Open team, our qualifying's not till the end of March right now. 3 or 4 weeks before the provincials, because they're concerned about the latest stuff, and how many people come to play, don't know.
Yeah.
But I commend you guys for getting out there and keeping bowling front and center with the bowlers that are already there. It's a matter of reaching out to new bowlers as well and getting them involved. I don't know if you guys remember, I know you're running short on time, but
No.
we did, CBC did a Sports Day in Canada a few years ago when I was still at Chinook.
Yep.
And they keyed in on heritage sports, and 5-pin bowling is a heritage sport. We actually did a display and a little bowling thing at the Sports Hall of Fame at COP on Canada Day because we were a heritage sport. But we did the Sports Day in Canada. CBC came in, and when we found out that we were hosting, I said to Dave Post, what would really be fun and exciting on TV is to do a Baker format. Don't do how we play at the Open where it's match play and it's to the non-bowler. Baker would be exciting. It's fast-paced. You could do 3 or 4 games in 20 minutes, or half an hour. And we've got an hour to fill. And Dave said, no, we need to show them how our champions are determined. We're going to do match play East versus West. And I went, oh, Dave, that's going to be such a killer. You're going to lose so many people. They're going to saw off somewhere. But, I said, Baker, really, you should do Baker. It would be fun. I don't know if you guys ever watched the Baker format that they did on the pins on CBC, on TSN, Freudian slip there. That was fun. And the bowlers that were involved in it had fun with it too. Yeah. You did BC and Alberta versus Alberta, Saskatchewan or whatever it was, but they wouldn't go for it. And it was unfortunate because we had some of our volunteers helping out in the production truck, the CBC production truck, and the producer in the truck just went rank because this is so boring. Why are we even here doing this? And our 2 volunteers came out just shaking their heads saying, never again will we go in that truck if they do that again here. Yeah. They said they lambasted the bowling segment because it was so boring. And I really think if we had shown something a little more exciting and upbeat, it would have made a difference. And somehow trying to introduce shorter league seasons. We had some leagues at Chinook that would only bowl 20 or 22 weeks. And you know what? I was happy with that because we were getting 20 or 22 weeks of lineage revenue from them. We only had a few leagues that would go 28, 30, 32 weeks. Yeah. And for some people, that's a really long season. And in this day and age, people just don't want to spend that long doing something like bowling. We go bowling. It's fun. I think our season is 29 weeks is about it. We're done in early April. Life is good.
Yeah. They're actually doing that quite a bit in 10-pin in the States is they call it half seasons or whatever.
Yeah.
So you play
the 8-for-8 or
you play up to Christmas and then it's a whole new league after that. If you rejoin, you rejoin. If you don't, you don't, right?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a way to go because people don't mind spending that much time, but a lot of people go, oh, what do you mean this is a 30-week league?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of knowing your market, right? If your market is obviously fine with a 30-week league or a 32-week league, whatever it's done, fine. But if you're losing bowlers and you're finding you got to dive in and find out why am I losing bowlers and how can I save them, then it is mini weeks, 8-week leagues, 12 weeks league, whatever it is. But
for sure.
It's knowing your market, knowing what you're going to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's a whole different thing. Out here we have the luxury where weather permitting, we can golf year round. I play with a ladies group that they play rain or shine. If the course is open, they play. And I'm not quite that dedicated. If it's +3 and it's not windy and it's only drizzling, I'm good to play. But I played in December and I hit the ball off the fairway and get a mud bath. Because the ground is so saturated. And I went, I'm glad I didn't wear the white pants golfing today. but that's a whole different thing. But trying to get more people intrigued in it. Doug Goodman and I used to do bowl better clinics at Chinook years ago when he and Dennis were still out in Alberta, in Calgary. And we would do it. And then when I let go of the reins at the Bowlodrome, Kathy and Rick said, well, why don't you come in and still do some bowl better clinics? Yeah, sure. I'm happy to do that. So we did bowl better clinics, and a lot of people participated in it and enjoyed the fact that they were getting a few pointers for cheap.
That's
And
right. Yeah.
it was good that way. But certainly, trying to create more enthusiasm and excitement. That's I think the things we have to look to. We have to get really creative in our marketing and the development of things as well, and having people there that are willing to give some advice when asked. When it comes to how do I roll the ball down the lane? How do you get that strike?
Yep.
Yeah, there's been lots of talks with this, especially I know like with Tom Patterson, it might have started the conversation, was having those coaches or a person that would be at your fun leagues or whatever, just there if people want help. You pay them whatever, $20 for the hour to be there, and if they help somebody, great. If not, at least it's an option and something like that. You never know, like. And maybe that's a lot of the problem with these 30-week seasons. You get some bowlers that are there for the entertainment value, but you get halfway through the season and you're not playing very good. You don't want to be there anymore. You're watching all these other guys run away with the league. You're not really there for winning anything. It's just a social night. It gets draining. I don't blame a lot of people for complaining about 30-week seasons.
To have the option to have a coach, Carrie, is what you're saying, is to have some guidance, to have a coach for the average Joe public would be super beneficial. And that's the whole program that might need a little bit of a revamp and help, is coaching Johnny average league bowler, right?
Yeah. And trying to have little special things going on. At Chinook, when we used to host things like the high-low doubles house finals, I always made sure that we had a whole bunch of dorky prizes to give out. We would draw names out of a hat and we'd give out prizes. Of course, most leagues, they do a, bowl a strike thing every night, or they do their 50-50s and stuff like that. And, those are all fine. But if you're not a high average bowler, you're probably not going to go into the bowl a strike pot. There's different things that we have to try and look beyond the the goggles that we've got on. We've got to try and open up that box.
That's a great point. Like men's league or ladies league or whatever for golf, you go there, you play your round, you get into the clubhouse, have a drink, have a something to eat or whatever, and then there's door prizes. Yeah, sure, your team that comes in low probably wins some cash or whatever, but then there's door prizes. There's 6 or 7 draws for the remainder of the people that are in there, and then you leave. Like, is that an option that these leagues could institute? And when you show up for your league, also there's some door prizes that you get drawn for, instead of having to buy a 50-50 ticket in order to get a chance at some money. Yeah, maybe there's some donated prizes or something like that.
And that's the key, getting some things donated, having sponsors, because you can't always be taking it out of pocket. If you've got an angle on getting some sponsors, then great. It gets their name out, and you get to give out a few things and get a smile out of a person or two in the evening or the daytime, whatever the case might be.
Hey, Arnie, we're not picking on the length of the leagues. We're just picking on, maybe you could have 2 leagues during that duration instead of 1 long league.
Well, like you say, the half a season, the September to December, January to April.
Yeah. Or during some downtime, like our Thursday 9 o'clock league is dwindled. During that Thursday 9 o'clock league, we can absolutely run an 8-week league or something like that too.
Yeah, get creative in the spots you need to, but for the most part, stick to what you can. Obviously.
Well, and even if you made it a doubles thing, so the time factor, so people aren't out until midnight or 1 a.m. or whatever.
Exactly. Yep.
Absolutely. No tap events or 369 leagues, or it doesn't always have to be a sanctioned league to get people involved. If they're having a novelty league night and they like it enough, then maybe they'll join a sanctioned league and get involved there too. As a proprietor, you want people coming through the door and you want them coming through on a regular basis. Get them hooked on some aspect of it, and then see if you can lead them into something, a little more structured, if you will.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
But I mean, it's easy for us to sit here and talk about it. Getting down to actually doing it. I mean, I remember Martin at Bonnie Doon had some good novelty nights, if you will. You know, the guys' night, the gals' night, that sort of stuff. Getting people introduced to bowling, which is fun. I don't know if Calgary still does it or if Edmonton still does it, but the corporate challenge. I mean, we were involved in the Calgary corporate challenge for years. As was Martin, I think, at Bonnie Doon.
Yeah.
You know, and those were good at getting out to companies. We actually had a few company leagues in years gone by, maybe not so much now, but Brian Sudbury, when he worked at ConocoPhillips, he actually got a ConocoPhillips league going on a Tuesday night for a couple of seasons. And
That's awesome.
You know, it was neat getting people that were new. A lot of people were new to the sport out and bowling.
Yeah.
I think running some shorter leagues is always a great idea, but I think one proponent of like the 8-for-8s or the 10-for-10s or whatever was that at the end of it they would get their own bowling ball, and I think that's really big for new bowlers too, because the second that they have, you know, their own personal equipment for a sport, they're far more likely to come back and start joining regular leagues and want to excel and get better. And
I like it. Well, Fran, like, we have reached our 2-hour mark, our normal podcast length. You have been obviously full of information. Your memory is rock solid.
No, it's written down in front of me.
Hard to forget anything when it's right in front of you. We can't thank you enough for being on. We appreciate it. If you're open, we may contact you soon in the future to get you on a return podcast, maybe number 150 or something like that. We'll get some of our great guests back on and have a quick chat with you again. But thanks again for coming on.
This was great. I really enjoyed it. Colin said time flies. He said, don't worry about what you're going to talk about. He said, because you'll find that the 2 hours is just going to fly by. And I got to say, he's pretty spot on there. Not bad. I mean, I was his coach when he bowled his perfect game at Paradise in 1990.
Yes.
You know,
Take credit for that.
And that was fun because we didn't have scoring then. We didn't have automatic scoring. And Debbie Boswell was our scorekeeper. And after he got the 7 strikes, I said, Debbie, have you ever been this close to a perfect game? And she said, what are you talking about? And I said, he's got it. He's going to throw a perfect game. Don't worry about it. You know, and then he got up there and he struck out and got his perfect game. And it was like, yeah, we told you. It was in the bag.
So the jinx isn't real.
Yeah.
No.
Every time someone says it, that's the end of it.
We should ask you if you have any good Adam Weber stories, because of course, being from Calgary and Adam's originally from Calgary. Any prominent memories of Adam that you know? Well, we can throw him under the bus. He's not here right now. What?
When he was a junior, they went to YBC Nationals in Winnipeg. He was on the junior boys team, and Rick Heinrich was coaching them. And he was just the cutest little scrawny runt of a kid.
What the hell happened?
I mean, and he had these nice little dimples, and he was just so cute.
He was just so cute. There's the sound bit. Adam was just so cute.
Not cute now. I mean, I used to tell him that he was my favorite Weber when he was in the room, and then if Rich was in the room, I would tell Rich that he was my favorite Weber. And then when David would come to visit, I'd say, David, you're my favorite Weber. But one time when I said to David that he was my favorite Weber, Rich was in the room, and he said, "What do you mean? I thought I was your favorite Weber." And I said, "Well, you know what? Forget about it. Heather's my favorite Weber. Mom is it." But no, I appreciate you guys for all that you're doing for bowling. Keep up the great work. Hang in there. Keep everything rolling. Thank you for this opportunity, and it's been a slice chatting with you.
Thanks, Fran. This was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, no, it was great. A lot of fun going down memory lane. That's for sure.
Awesome. Well, we'll let you go, and you have a great time on the island, and we'll wrap this up with our draw. And you're more than welcome to stay in the background and chat with us afterwards if you're willing to, and we'll get this over with.
Okay. Thanks again, guys.
All right. Thanks, Fran. There you go. That was
amazing.
I mean, we could go into
information. Yeah.
I mean, more 2 hours. I mean, some of these guests we've had here the last little bit. I mean, you could talk for days and hours. And Fran's just done so much for the sport. So Great
Yeah.
catch.
Yeah.
Glad to have her on. It was awesome.
Yeah, she's been so instrumental in bowling as a whole in Alberta in Canada for so long that, man, if we had her and Jeff Bourne on, we would have like a 9-hour podcast, and we would never run out of things to talk about.
Yeah, I think Lloyd Weens last week
So
too.
good.
Lloyd, we could have gone on for another couple
Yeah.
of hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Really awesome.
It's awesome to have Fran on. I don't think you can. Bowling would never be the same without her. To be honest with you, she's absolutely incredible. So, thank you, Fran.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we got the Black Eye DB draw to do
Yeah,
here.
there we go. Is it getting worse by the hour here or what?
No, I think it's held itself very, very well.
Yeah.
So we had 29 entries. Once again, this is for allstarbowlingsales.com. We are lucky enough that they're sponsoring us and can bring you guys a free draw every week. And after we find the winner, we'll get in contact with you and we'll get them in contact with you as well.
Birthday there
All right.
today, I think, isn't it, for All Star Bowling Sales?
Shelby, yes,
It
it's
is
his
Shelby's
birthday today.
Yeah.
That's Facebook just told me that, boys. That's all.
That's
Adam,
all,
Adam Weber would usually point that out. You know, he's
29 years old,
Yeah.
Shelby Crest.
Bullshit.
All right. Good luck, everyone. Has she won before?
I don't know.
I'm not
I
sure.
think she.
I feel like Jeff has won. I don't know if Marla's won though.
I feel like she won something like the 100th or something like that.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Jeff will be
Maybe.
jealous. Jeff will be jealous.
Awesome. That's great.
Good contributor to the show. All good
Yes, always in the chat, always contributing as much as she can and putting in very valid points. So
there.
congrats.
Yeah.
Tough break, Jeff. Tough break, buddy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right. Well, I will end this podcast. And Tim, do we have a guest scheduled for next week?
Steve Greenside should be on next week.
Nice.
Steve Greenside.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. Going Ontario, history there too, right?
He's a wealth of knowledge, I tell you.
Yeah, that's exciting. So good.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Marla, give Jeff a hug for us. Yeah.
And
Or that.
hashtag bring back 7-player teams for the mixed for the open. Yeah.
Sounds fantastic.
Hashtag
And,
7-player teams. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see you guys all Sunday morning for the live show of show number 9 for the 5-Pin Pro League.
Yeah, live bowling's back. Let's go.
Live bowling Sunday morning. Share away. YouTube.
All right. See you
Beautiful.
guys.
See you later, guys.